Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, this is Chatting with Nat. It's Natalie James and Natalie Jean. Today we have the honor of having award-winning composer, pianist, producer Wendy Loomis. Wendy Loomis is an award-winning composer, pianist, producer, educator, and voting member of the Recording Academy. Her compositions have been performed throughout the US and Cuba. She plays with jazz and new age groups, writes for independent films, and has released 18 CDs. Wendy co-founded Renaissance funk band COPUS that has performed at such notable venues such as the Bitter End in New York and the Cutting Edge Festival in New Orleans. Their vinyl release, The Dilemma, is due in August. Let's give her a round of applause.
Audio Jungle.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm good, Natalie. Thank you so much for this. This is a great concept. I love your idea. And you and Nikki forming Sisters in Music, just brilliant.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of people laugh when they hear the applause. My two hands.
I love the applause.
Yeah, my two hands can't do everybody justice. So how have you been?
Things are good. I've been waiting with bated breath for the vinyl album that was supposed to be finished in April. I mean, our end was finished, but apparently there's such a demand for vinyl to be printed that everything is behind. I think some of it is, of course, pandemic related, but some of it is it's a newer company. And so I actually got the tracking number this morning, meaning that they are en route, which is so exciting.
Yay!
Yay. Thank you. Exciting. Yeah.
So,
it is exciting.
How have you been during this, let me see, how do I put it? Elections, pandemic, COVID had some babies, George Floyd, Roe versus Wade, mass shootings, tsunamis, earthquakes, president assassinations, polio, monkeypox, just a bunch of ridiculousness and craziness in the world. How have you been handling all of this?
You know, it's been an interesting time. Just your list there. I think, of course, you know, the negatives we could spend a lot of time on. But I think that for me, I found ways to make it work. First of all, I live very close to the ocean in San Francisco, and so the beach, just to be there and see the sky and the water, and it's just much bigger than I am, and it was very incredibly helpful spiritually. Writing music, I just sort of was a whirlwind, and of course I share a house with a bunch of people, and so I couldn't practice all the time, but I know these people at a church, and I have a key there, and I used to just go there and just lock myself in and play all day. And so you know, finding ways to deal with stuff, I think the longer it went, the weirder it got. I mean, at the beginning, I thought it was going to be over in a week or a month. You know, so little did I know. But then, yeah, and then, you know, I mean, so many things. I mean, the whole Black Lives Matter and Me Too movement, and so many things were happening. And I think that in a way it was kind of frustrating because the necessity of being out in the street was really important, and yet at the same time people were concerned about health. And so I applaud all the people who actually were out there. I did it a bit, but you know, I would love to have done more and participated more. But you know, a lot of the things that were written during that time were very much about that subject. I wrote a song called Truth, which was about what you guys were talking about, speaking your truth. And before that, we just had released a song called We All Bleed Red, which is about that, exactly, that we all bleed red. So I, you know, in those ways, it was important to sort of go internal, and lost some money, of course, lost a bunch of gigs, but fortunately I have some private music students, and they all switched to Zoom, so that was good. That was helpful.
That's awesome. Now, one of the things I always like to ask everybody this question, and a little story behind it. So, obviously, the pandemic was awful. People's lives, long-term COVID, people's limbs also. There were pros and regards to pandemic. We talked about for allowed for a lot of free things that I saw are, family members working together. In my neighborhood, you don't see that often work because they realized that they weren't spending enough time with family members. I read a bunch of articles about people that decided that because with the pandemic that they realized that I need to make money, but I need to do something that makes me happy. We should slow down. The animals and the Mother Nature were happy. We wouldn't come back. Then we have this some. Wow. Did you take yourself reflect? Is there anything that would change, or are you going to make this? What do you think about?
Changes in terms of, you were broken up a little bit, so I didn't hear all of that. So change in terms of what? Did you
take some time to do some self-introspection in regards to your music career, how you want to be seen? I know for myself, I want to be more of an effective player. Did you decide to remain the same? Are there any changes, or is COPUS?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, unfortunately, San Francisco is not really recovered very well. First of all, it's such an expensive place that even before COVID, a lot of venues were closing, and a bunch have closed since then, and another one this week. And so most of the places that we have played are no longer in existence.
Wow.
So the thing is, we're doing some release parties, and we've always rented places too and done our own productions, but the thought of moving comes again to my mind. I grew up on the East Coast and migrated this way, but LA and New York, I don't know how they're faring, but I feel like it might be time to spend some more time elsewhere. It's a shame because it's a beautiful city, and I moved here when it was sort of the tail end of when it was happening. Royal, my partner in crime, who does spoken word, and we formed a company together, a band, and then a small label together. He grew up in LA and then came to San Francisco, so he saw it more when there were lots of clubs and it was very edgy and there was a lot of artistic stuff and dance and theater. And now there's really just the big, like the opera and the symphony and Live Nation, basically. So independent artists, it's harder and harder to find places. And so this is the value, of course, of collaborating and like a lot of the recording we're now doing where people are sending in stuff, you're not always recording all in the same place. So I think it's made me think more about physically moving somewhere, but I haven't kind of landed on that yet.
I completely understand. What was it about the music industry that made you gravitate towards the music industry? Was it something that you heard, you saw, or did you just come out of the womb saying that Wendy and music are going to come together somehow? We are just one.
Right. When I was very young, I always knew I'd be an artist of some kind because I started dancing when I was 4. I was in shows when I was 4, and I started piano at 8. And my mother was very encouraging of artistic pursuit. I think she wanted me rather to do it like on the side, just worrying about financial things, So, but I grew up in Western Massachusetts, and so she loved to go to New York. We went to New York all the time. We went to shows all the time. And so I had influences very young, and studying music all my whole life. So it was more just a question of, well, what exactly am I going to do with it? It was always there. It was just, what is the exact vehicle I'm going to use? So that was very interesting. And when I came to California, then my vocabulary sort of expanded because I met people who were doing, more, I grew up with more classical and jazz and Broadway. And then I met people who were doing like Indian music and tabla music and reggae and more avant-garde stuff. So it kind of expanded my realm and my vocabulary, so that when I was writing music, it became more expansive, I think.
Now, how important is it for you to be authentic in your music as a person, your songwriting?
Yeah, I think that's the key factor right there. That's that's a really interesting question, because my first year in college, I had a theater professor, and he said, we were all young, naive, 18-year-olds, and he said, so if you want to go into theater, you got to answer a question right now, today. Do you want to make money or do you want to make art? You might end up with both, but maybe not. So you have to decide which is more crucial. And for me, I decided right then I needed to be authentic in my expression, and it needed to be pretty much all original. And if the money came, great, but if it didn't, that wasn't going to stop me.
I love that. You got to do your thing. You got to follow your mission, your destiny.
Yeah, I love all. I have to say, Natalie, too, just to throw in there, that I just love, you post a lot of very positive things, and those are great. I mean, I think that, there's so much struggle in the world that we all know, but your messages are really important to read on an almost daily basis. It's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, you're like me. You're also like a social impact, obviously, message songwriter. You write about this, which I think is a beautiful thing. A lot of artists are fearful about writing about the times, especially some specific topics. They feel that they don't want to alienate their fans. In fact, there are some people that just think that you shouldn't even talk about things on your social media site. But we artists, we live in America.
Yes,
how is
we do.
That we can talk about these things? Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Do you think that people should write about what's going on in the world, or should they just stay in a box, so to speak, and not talk about certain things because of fear of alienating their fans?
I think because there's so much like superficial music out there in the pop world, that if that's all you want, there's plenty of that. So I feel like I don't have to provide that. So I would rather have people listen and share an experience where there's some food for thought, there's some maybe challenges to your views, maybe it spurs you to do something more expansive with your life. We've worked with this group called Climate Music Project, and they're a wonderful organization. I just happened upon them when they were looking for bands to play at an outside event, and it said, do you want to play for the planet? And I said, well, yeah, I'd love to play for the planet. So we took the band out there, and ended up that they asked if I would write a piece in collaboration with them, with their team of scientists, which was amazing, so that we collaborated on this piece called What If We, which then there was video and spoken word by Royal and my band COPUS, and then the visuals, and then scientifically they incorporated this sonifications, which was amazing. It was a conversion of the chord structure of the piece into sounds that represented sea level rise over time, and just kind of incredible to work with them. That video has been shown all over the world. It was shown at King Abdullah University in Saudi Arabia. It was shown at Tufts University. I mean, it's so that expansion of the awareness of climate change, I learned a lot, just about the specifics of sea level rise. So, and yet, even when I wrote that piece, I wanted to make sure that the ending had a positive message, because if it only just says it's all doom and gloom, then who's going to do anything? I mean, why bother? So to me, it's like you can challenge your audience, but then you also want to encourage them to take action. So you have to put something positive in there.
Yeah. No, I definitely like that aspect of things. I mean, for myself, I like to make people think, It's not about changing somebody's views. It's more or less trying to get them to think about, let me put myself in that person's shoes and let me see how I would feel if that were happening to me.
Exactly.
That's very important. And we don't have to, everybody doesn't have to agree. One of the things I've learned over time, especially being on TikTok and all these platforms, is that people don't like other people's opinions, which is just ridiculous. People can agree to disagree. Yeah. People have the right to their own opinion. Opinions can be right, they can be wrong, they can be extremely ignorant, they can be racist, they can be all things, but the bottom line is a person has the right to their opinion, and people just like, no, you're wrong. It's like, dude, I'm able to do what I want right here. You may not, and the thing is, people may not like the opinions. That's the beauty of the thing. You don't have to like them, okay?
Right.
And I that as musicians, those of us that write social impact message songs, I think that is brilliant that we do so. I think that we're very powerful because we're not afraid to like help the universe, help the world. And the thing with fans is that if you have true fans, they will know who you are. If they follow you on your social media platforms, read your websites, listen to your music, they will know who you are. They won't say, oh my God, they're talking about this, I can't listen to them anymore. No. And those that don't want to, bye-bye. There's like millions of people in the world. But I think that, Nina Simone said it, she said something in regards to artists' responsibility to write about the times. And she's one person I wish she were still alive. I would love to have performed with her if I could have.
Oh, absolutely true, yeah.
It's just amazing. And I think that she was so right. Now, which artist would you love to perform with who's dead or alive?
Oh, boy, that's a brilliant question. Okay, let's see. So many. Right offhand, I have to say all the biggies in the sort of jazz scenario, like contemporary today, Esperanza Spalding, Terry Lynn Carrington, Kamasi Washington, Robert Glasper, Herbie Hancock, all of those people. And then if we're going to go back further, then of course Chick Corea was a very big influence on me. I would love to have done something with him. I saw her duet of Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea, and that was just beyond belief. Let's see. Yeah, if you're going to go back further, you go to people like Nina Simone, amazing. Hazel Scott. Oh my gosh, when I discovered her, just incredible. And then, Beethoven. I'd like to go to some of those people. Stravinsky, Debussy, all my early classical loves. So many, there's just, it's amazing the wealth of music. Omar Sosa, he's a Cuban pianist, just incredibly good. Yeah.
Now, how do you go about songwriting, writing a new song, specifically the lyrics? And if you get writer's block, how do you deal with that?
Well, it's interesting. I don't write that many lyrics. I've written more compositions for ensembles. I do, I write the musical parts. So I've written for flute choirs. I've written for independent films. So I have written some songs with words, but I'm an okay singer, but I'm not a great singer. So I hire singers to do when there's lyrics. And then with COPUS, Royal writes the lyrics. And so working with him has been great because it's like writing for film, because he's he's like a storyteller. He's, you know, it's not rap because it's looser in rhythmic structure. So it's really fun to write around his words. I've written a couple, like Truth. I wrote quite a bit of the words of that. So I do write some, but most of mine is from the musical compositional standpoint. So, you know, it's fun. It's just, I love the collaboration. Like I wrote a song for my brother and his wife for their anniversary, and I needed a singer, so I put a call out there to the indie collaborative people, and Grant Malloy Smith was the first one to respond. He said, "Sure, I'll do it," and he just did a beautiful job. I mean, it's just kind of amazing that there's just so much talent everywhere. You just have to just grab people, you know.
Amen to that. You just gotta grab them for sure, sure. Now, tell me about your upcoming album Dilemma, the vinyl album Dilemma. What is this album? How many songs? What is the album about?
The Dilemma is the artwork for the cover shows the balance of the heart and the mind, which is that ongoing dichotomy we've been talking about, like from the balance of the thinking rational part and then the more sensitive intuitive part. And there are 11 original tracks. We had, right now, COPUS is a quartet with Royal Kent, spoken word, and me, piano and composition, and then Patrick Mahan on bass and Levon Washington on drums. And then we had 8 guest artists, all sorts of stuff, from alto, clarinet, to violin, to rapping, to percussion. So it's a really interesting album. And I think having done, CDs all this time, that we really decided that we wanted to do vinyl, just because it's, to me, is the best sound you can get. And it makes it a classic, something that you can hold on to in the artwork. And so I had to go out and buy a turntable again. So I could play it. So yeah, so it should be here probably next week, and then we're planning release parties, both live, 2 live ones in San Francisco, and then we're going to do an online one, and then we have some people in LA want to do something there, so that'll probably be in October or November. So that's the plan.
Cool. Love it. Now I'm going to play your song Fillmore. Tell me what that's about.
Fillmore is a really special song. It's about the Fillmore district of San Francisco that many people would know. It's used to be called the Harlem of the West. In the 1940s and 1950s, there was a club on every corner, and it was primarily Black-owned businesses, very successful. Unfortunately, got wiped out by demonic forces. But it's a tribute to all the artists that passed through there and all the powerful presences that were there, and people were dressed to the nines and were out in that whole district. So you'll hear that kind of jazz. I wrote a sort of jazzy piece, and Royal's words mention a lot of artists. And then in the middle, it breaks into, we have a guest artist who does some rap and a singer, and so they bring it to a more contemporary thing. Also, Nasher Modi, who's an indie collaborative, amazing guitarist. He has a nice little guitar solo in there, too. So it's a wonderful tribute, a bygone era.
All right. Well, let me play it.
Thank you.
In the Fillmore, we're talking San Francisco lore, where music legends lived and worked before, cranking out diamonds, gold, silver, pearls galore, leaving us always wanting more, like stars that shine forevermore. Their faces seem to always be painted against an eyesore. Well, the winds of change are like an open door. There you can hear their names, always to be remembered. most certain and sure, like the sound of a distant roar. Over in the Fillmore,
people remain, hope refrain, that them lines all cover the pain, but it brings us power across the same. No more fame in Messiah's name.
in the Fillmore, we're talking San Francisco lore. Miles, Monk, Duke, Bird, Dizzy, and John Coltrane, they wrote the score. Sarah, Nina, Billie, Ella, Dinah, and Carmen, they sang the songs we admire and adore. You had Alabama, Elsie's, Havana Club, Jimbo's Box City, the Blue Mirror, beloved venues of yore. Cultures coming together, hanging with each other. You have rich and poor. Sounds every night. Folks looking right in the clothes they wore. And everybody knew the score.
In the Fillmore, I feel more walking down these streets. History in my blood and through these beats. Clubs closed with real flows. No blues in your shoes. You can feel greatness called to you. The energy, the sound, the truth. Whether on stage or in the booth, you nod your head, that's proof. And as we build more on the backs of those that came before, no time for moving slow. Waves crashing on the shore, that's a real force. Where the best know what we're here for. The games we play, the thrill, the score. Need more, see more, be more. Let that open up your mind like real doors. In a world where being yourself is a real chore. Never just another day in Fillmore.
In the Fillmore, we're talking San Francisco lore. Black-owned banks, bakery shops, record shops, barber shops, gas stations, and grocery stores. There was nothing they wanted for. It was a thriving community with an unfinished history, redeveloped for some unknown mystery, destined to become a metaphor. Well, the Harlem of the West was laid to rest by eminent domain, who claim it's mine, not yours. Only to become known as the Phil. No more.
I love that vibe. I could see that song in like a cafe, a smoke shop.
Yeah, I know. I really want to do it. I want to do a video and like women in slit skirts and men with big brim hats and stuff. Yeah.
It's totally cool. What do you love most about being an artist?
What do I love most about it? Is that what you said?
Yeah. What do you love most about it?
Love most. To me, like every day I get up, it's exciting. Like you wake up in the morning, there's always something new to do. And when you're an independent artist, I always wear hats because we have to wear so many hats. You do the writing part, and you do the rehearsing, and then you do the practicing, and then you organize, and then you market, and then you get on the phone, then you go hang up a flyer, and you just like always, it's 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the middle of the day, if it's really sunny and I say, oh, you know what, I think I'll take a break and walk to the ocean. I don't have to check in with anybody. I don't have to, tell my boss I'm going anywhere. I'm my own person, and I just love the independence, the freedom, the ability to create things, to be able to take negative world and make it into something beautiful.
Right.
I think I love all those aspects of it, and even the challenging parts. It's part of the deal, But yeah, it's an exciting way to live your life in the way that you want to do it, and affect people. And you never know, because I mean, I've had people. I remember one time I was playing this piano piece, and someone came up to me afterwards, this guy, and he had tears in his eyes, and he just said, my grandmother, he didn't look like he would be teary. He had like tattoos, right. Really tough looking guy, and had like chains on him. And he just said, my grandmother's dying of cancer, and your music so touched me, and I think I'll be able to sleep tonight. I mean, like that. Wow, those are the things you just say, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm putting out the right thing. Yeah. That's
huge. And to piggyback off of that, I was talking to this young lady this past year, and she was giving us a story about when she had a performance. She had an hour performance, and this person came up to her and said, oh my God, I just loved your performance. It was so beautiful. And I have to tell you that after I was going to leave this performance, I was going to kill myself. And after watching this performance, I chose in life. I'm going to live. I know that there is a better day. So to say that, I always tell musicians, artists, that music is a superpower. People just don't understand. Yep. Music is power to heal, move mountains, do so many things. It's one place where we can all get along in this crazy kind of world that we're living in, because people just want to vibe to things. You know what I mean? Even
absolutely true.
Yeah, and even during the pandemic, I think a lot of people went and sought out more independent artists because they had the time to do so. So actually, that was kind of a good thing for independent artists. They wanted something to, someone to gravitate to, somebody that gives them hope. They're tired of all the fake news crap, and they just want to say, okay, I've got to listen to Wendy right now because she gives me what I need at this moment. So people, I think all artists understand that they have a superpower to do wonderful, beautiful things in this world. It's
very true.
Now, you touched on something. Marketing and promoting is one of the things that we have to do as artists. And now we have to be on every damn platform there is on this earth, whether it's Snapchat, Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, there's so many.
I know.
It's not easy to manage all of that. So how do you manage all of that marketing and promoting?
I know. It's really funny. I went to a party last weekend to say goodbye to Jeff Oster, who's moving, and it was there were like 12 of us, like Kenya and Oscar, you know them, and so there are all these people who won Grammys or nominated for Grammys, and so after we all talked about what our projects were musically, then that lasted for a certain time, but the rest of the conversation was about algorithms and promoting and how you use platforms, and wow, this is really interesting, but this is what we all are going to talk about. That Oscar Wilde quote that if you get a group of bankers together, they talk about art, and you get artists together and they talk about money. So, but I think now we're all talking about social media, and so that's the concern. It's very interesting. I think the internet is a good it's a double-edged sword for independent artists, because you can put anything out there from your phone or your laptop, but there's gazillions of people who are doing it, and so how you rise up through things becomes the challenge. I do a certain amount of it every day, but I feel like there's always more that can be done. But I'm actually Roy and I are working with these people at what they call an open source label, and his whole promotion is sort of working it from the inside out, and so we're learning some real marketing tools from him, which are kind of amazing. So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, it's something that some days you can sort of tear your hair out, but other days it can be very cool, very cool when people will appear out of nowhere sometimes and just go, wow, that's cool. So, that's the good part of it.
So one of the things that I've learned, because during the pandemic, my God, I took so many webinars, conferences on music and social media and stuff like that. And one of the things I found is that, when we're creating music now, especially if you want to chart or whatever, you have to see if somebody will take your music and use it on these platforms. So when people are writing songs now, they actually have to think, oh my God, will this work for this platform? Can somebody use it on their TikTok, on their Facebook Reels, whatever? And so it puts way more pressure if that's what you're into. Because back in the day, you could go take your little 45 record, go to a radio station and say, oh, can you play this? 9 times out of 10, they might play it. But now, you know, and we know that radio is pay to play, and they play the same old darn artists. I'm like dying to contact like 3 radio stations. Okay, do you guys have the guts to be able to play independent artists you've ever heard from? Because the radio stations are so inundated with the same old music over and over, to the point that I hardly ever listen to any of it anymore. But yeah, it's a different ball game. You know, I first didn't want to do TikTok, but then I was like, okay. At first I was doing, you know, silly things, and I was promoting my music to promote my own music. You know, I'm tired of promoting everybody else's. And so now it's fascinating because I've gotten into this whole Roe versus Wade thing, and those are the videos that have the most views. I have one video that has like 45,000 views. And you know what I did?
Wow.
All I did was post a video and pointed to the video, and people are enamored and having conversations about different things. So this whole musical game is just crazy. It's a lot of work, and I think people just don't realize that. I'm going to play your song, There Are Days. Tell me what this is about.
This is a song this is a singer-songwriter song that I did, that if I were a singer, I would have sung. And I found this woman, Amanda Rose. I never met her, but see, I found her online. This is one good thing. You can find people. And so, but it's kind of about those days where, as a musician or as a human, you wake up and just go, you know what? I just feel like pulling the covers over my head, and that's kind of all it. But at the end, there's some positivity that comes out of that. So that's basically it.
All right, then I think it's time to play.
blanket will do. the blanket remain. Lift us up, gratitude. Lift us up. Colors wild through the mind. There are days on the line. Dream of light, free and easy. There are days. There are days of joy. There are days of joy.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That,
I don't know where she is. I'm curious what happened to Amanda Rose, if you're out there, where you are in the world right now.
I mean, I think that one right there, that definitely needs to be in a movie. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like that too. It has that
that-
moody quality that would be good in a movie. Yeah, I agree.
perfect. What was I gonna? So, one last question would be, what are 3 things you wish you had known before you got into the music industry?
3 things. Let's see. I think this is probably life as well as the music industry, but that it takes however long time it takes. That's the first thing.
True.
Like you can plan and you can try to do things, and that's great, and you keep working on things, but things come into their time when they come into their time. As a side note to that, I do have to throw in that I'm really excited, pushed very hard to get this new category in the Grammy Awards. And COPUS has submitted in 6 different categories, and we finally, I wrote a proposal, and Jay Ivey in Chicago and a bunch of other people, that this year there's going to be spoken word with music as a category. So I'm just so excited. So I think persistence and timing like that took many, many years to get. I think someone, and I forget who it was, who talked about, well, probably a lot of people, but always keeping the people that you had at the beginning nearby, because as things start to get more, if you get more successful and more known, that keep a small group of people that are your original fans and supporters and followers close to you. Don't let them go. That I've learned along the way. Let's see, what else? Well, I think when I started, it was before the social media was so huge. I think that adaptability is like the name of the game, because you don't know, and we don't know 10 years from now what it will be like. Maybe we'll just have like little wires in our head, and we can just move them and hear a song, and so, who knows? So I think being able to be adaptable is really crucial in the music world, but in life itself.
One of the things that I know is that there are a lot of scam artists in this industry. I know when I first started, people were latching on. It's almost like they find you, the people that are just starting out, and they say, "Oh, I can make your dreams come true. You pay money." Yeah, I was scammed in the. They can't get me now. I don't get scammed now. But that's a huge one, and that not to change who you are for somebody else's dream. Just stay true to who you are as an artist, and to learn that music is subjective. Many will love you, many will not like you, and you can't take it personal. You move on from that, and you deal with the people that love your music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's all really good. And I learned from Royal early days when we were starting out as an ensemble, and I've played in a lot of groups, but COPUS has been the longest standing. And I remember there weren't that many people at one of the first shows, and he said, that doesn't matter. If you reach one person, you've done your job. And I take this very good advice, and I've used that a lot, because like the person who just, decided not to be suicidal after that performance, that person was the only person, that was the show was for that person. So it doesn't always, it's not always about crowds and size. So, and that was a really good thing to learn.
That's right. I agree with you. And one last thing, what quote, passage, or anything, a saying, a word that you use to motivate yourself if you just need it for that moment?
I think of Golda Meir saying that if I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am for myself only, what am I?
That's right. Amen to that.
Yay, women. Right on.
Yay. Right on. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for chatting with Nat. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your creativity, and I appreciate the fact that you speak your truth in this world of...
Thank you so much. It's been absolute pleasure to speak with you. Can't wait to see you in person again.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Oh, my gosh, it's been so long. It'll happen. Yeah. Things are opening back up. Hopefully all that other crap will go away. But thanks again. If anybody wants to check out Wendy Loomis, the award-winning composer, pianist, producer, educator, and voting member of the Recording Academy, you can go to wendyloomis.com. Facebook is wendy.loomis5. Then you have copusmusic.com, reverbnation.com/Copus, Instagram.com/Copus Music. She's amazing. She's wonderful. Find her. And if you can't remember all of that, just Google. That's what I tell people. Just Google me, because we're so many platforms. You can't remember all of them. All right. Thank you, Wendy. Until next time. You're welcome.
All right.
Until next time. Peace on Chatting with Nat. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.